Today, I'm going to be discussing 3 strategies for a rewarding year end. 3 strategies to apply today from now to get yourself to a good place that you would like to be by the end of the year. And the first strategy is release. And what do I mean by release? It's all about what do you need to let go of to maximize the rest of the year. I want you to think about this in the context of your work and career, right? What do you need to release? And I'll share some common, like three areas, 3 categories that I find that people need to release. They need to make some releases. Let's put it that way. The first area is you need to release hopes that are no longer possible to meet. At the start of the year, maybe you had hopes of what you wanted to do, what you wanted to achieve, but now, realistically, it's just no longer possible, right? And it's important to release that hope and release the pain that is associated with not being able to achieve that anymore. So that's really important. The second category of area where we really need to release is release hurts from people, right? In the context of work, maybe there are managers and leaders that haven't been as supportive. They didn't come through and support you as much as you needed. Maybe colleagues threw you under the bus. Maybe people made decisions that affected you negatively, and that has created hurt for you. If you hold on to that hurt, what it does is like a baggage, right? It just it weighs heavy. It's heavy. It's like carrying a baggage. So how do you get yourself into a position where you just release them? Release, let it go, so that you can travel light and go on to have the energy to achieve the things that you want to achieve by the end of the year. And then the third category is an interesting one. So the first one is release hopes that are no longer possible to achieve. We're talking about release hurts from people. And then the third one is release yourself from coasting. What do I mean by coasting? Maybe you've had a good year, you've had a win. Yes, you got the promotion, you did well, you got on the project that you wanted, you go into the team you wanted to work in, and now you find yourself coasting. But there's more that you can do. There's more that you can reach for. Maybe it's even the case that there are other opportunities that you could pursue, but you find yourself holding back. You find yourself just staying in that new comfort zone that you've created for yourself. Well, if you're intentionally making the choice to host because you think that's the season you're in, that's absolutely fine. Do that. But if there's something nudging you that actually, there's still some gains that I can make. It's too early to give up, or it's too early to fold hands and just watch things. Let me still be in the game. Then I want to invite you to release that coasting energy and really just embrace what is possible and what more is possible for you now. So that's the first strategy for maximizing the rest of the year. Release the things that are weighing you down, that are making you go slow, that are zapping your energy. Release them. So hopes that have been dashed, hurts from people, and then coasting and not doing your best when there's more that you can do. So my invitation to you is to think about, what do you need to release? What do you need to let go of to maximize the rest of the year? Okay, really important. There are many other areas. You might come up with things that do not fall into any category that I've just shared. There might be mindset, there might be beliefs, there might be opinions, there might be relationships that you're holding on to that are just dragging you down. How do you release things so that you can move forward? That's the first strategy, release. The second strategy is reset. Think about it. What do you want to see happen by the end of the year? Resetting is important because you may have set your goal at the start of the year, in the middle of the year, and what you set is no longer possible. It's no longer realistic. And actually holding on to it is holding on to that goal is actually hurting you. It's actually harming you. It's not allowing you to go for what is possible. You're holding on to the impossible. So set a new goal, set a new objective. Start from where you are. Where do you need to adjust and tweak what you had before and just go with what is possible now? But when you do that, Really, you are setting a vision for for the new thing that you want to see happen. So I'm going to invite you to do this exercise. Imagine it's the end of the year. It's the last day of the year, 31st of December, and you are reflecting on the year is ending. And in particular, you are reflecting on this last quarter. You are reflecting on the last quarter of the year, and it's been good. It's turned out better than you thought it was going to turn out. What would have happened for you to think this? What would have happened for you to look back and say, actually, this was the last quarter. This was a good quarter. I think whatever comes up for you as you think about that, that could be your vision for this quarter. It could be your aim, your goal, what you set out to achieve. The next step I'm going to invite you to do is to consider, where are you in relation to that vision? What is, or what are the reasons that you don't have that thing that you're conceiving now, that is, that thing that you're hoping to achieve, where you're hoping to be by the end of 2020, the end of the year. Why don't you have it now? What stopped you from having it now? See, the difference between where you want to be by the end of the year and where you are now, that's the gap you need to fill. Sometimes there's a gap, you need to take some activities to close it. Sometimes it's just an obstacle that you need to find a way to navigate, to walk around, to fill, whichever one it is. But having a clear picture of that can actually give you focus. It gives you something specific to work on, so that by the end of the year, you can really have something tangible that you can reflect on, that you achieved, that you identified, you worked on, and you made gains in. Because I promise you, it doesn't matter what that gap is. If you set your mind to start doing some work, to start taking some real steps towards that, I promise you, you will make progress. That's just how life works, right? If we set our mind, we will make progress. I'm not saying you will exactly how you will definitely achieve it and get everything 10 out of 10. No, but success is not just 10 out of 10. Progress is success. And sometimes that's what we need to be making progress. Okay, so let me recap. The first strategy was all about release. What is not serving you that you need to let go of? The second one is all about reset, restarting from where you are and setting some new goals, new objectives, new aims based on where you are. Resetting, setting some new things to aim for, not holding on to what you had at the beginning of the year that is no longer possible, but embracing the reality, embracing what you are confronted with and working with that. Going to move on to the final strategy now. The third one is reorganize. Now, we've done a reset. You have some new things that you're aiming for, some new goals, around where you want to be by the end of the year. Well, how are you going to make that happen? That's all about reorganizing yourself. Yeah, when it comes to reorganizing ourselves, we're really thinking about the what and the who. What are you going to do, or what are you doing, and who are you being? How are you showing up, and what are you doing? These are so important, because if you don't reorganize yourself, if you don't do things differently, if you don't take the right actions that will lead you to realize that vision that you set in reset, then nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. Resetting is the first step, but then we have to reorganize. We have to understand who we need to be, what we're going to do. Now, in my line of work, there's 6 areas and 6 attributes that I think people really need to embrace when it comes to moving forward and achieving that which they have set. As a coach, coaching is all about helping people move forward. It's all about helping people create new results, right? Identify where they are, move forward from there, and make progress. That's what coaching is all about. So these are 6 areas I really want you to pay attention to that would help you position you to be in that place that you want to be by the end of the year. And there's 6 C's, right? The first one is clarity. Setting a vision in line with your values, in line with what is important to you. It's important to be clear on where you want to get to and why you want to get to it. Because tapping into the why can often give you the motivation and the push and the energy to pursue. that which you want. What we want requires some sort of energy from us to make happen. And sometimes, if we really haven't tapped in and gotten clear on what we want, why it's important, we may lack that energy to give to it. And part of my role as a coach is really supporting clients to really have that clarity around what they want for themselves, what they want for their career, what they want for the future, what they want to go for. Because when they're clear on that and they do the other things we're about to talk about, then they really set themselves up for success. So there's clarity. The second area is build capacity. You know what you want, well, you're not there yet. And there's a reason for that. So how do you become the person that achieves your goal? So what are some beliefs you need to let go of? What are some new ways of being that you need to embrace? What are some attitudes? What are some new behaviors? What are new habits that you need to work on? What's some feedback that you've had that you haven't acted on? These are really important. How do you self-sabotage? We all have a way of self-sabotaging, right? We think we're protecting ourselves, but we are actually doing things that are contrary to taking us to where we say we want to go to. So that's really important. So capacity is around becoming who your goals require you to be. The second area is around confidence. So we've talked about clarity, we've talked about capacity, and then the third one is confidence. Confidence is really around learning how to navigate your doubts and not allowing them to hinder you. Because here's the reality, many of us, we will have doubts when we're going for new goals. Especially when you're setting big goals or you're doing things or you're planning to do things you haven't done before. If you're looking to pull yourself out of your comfort zone, then it can be challenging. It can really, really be, it can bring up doubts, whether it's low confidence, no confidence, imposter syndrome, imposter feeling, whatever name you give to it, all of those can be navigated. You can bring it to the surface and you can work with it either by yourself or if you need support, reach out, to a coach like me. There's these 6 areas going to talk about, the 6 C's that I'm talking about. These are areas I regularly support clients with in my coaching. Like I said, the whole purpose of coaching is to move people from point A to point B. But by the end of the coaching engagement, they feel different. They know what to do. They know how to get out of their own way, and they are in a position to really get that which they want. They're in position to make progress. And confidence is really critical. Confidence either acts as a catalyst or a lead. You want your confidence to be a catalyst for where you want to get to. So we'll move on to the fourth one, which is all around, which is the fourth one, and that is all around connection, building connections. Earlier on in reset, when we're talking about the strategy of reset, I invited you to think about where you want to be at the end of the year. It doesn't matter what you write down. I don't even have to have seen it, but I know for sure that life doesn't take place in a vacuum. So it doesn't matter what it is that you've written that you want to achieve by the end of the year. It's going to need the participation or contribution of another person, of at least another person, more likely more than one person. So, and people buy into you first before they buy into supporting your goals. So it's very important that you build those connections that can support you in your goals. And it's not just about relationships, it's actually building connections, having points of connections with people, making yourself available for people, making yourself available to be experienced, not being so guarded, and not allowing introversion to get in the way. Sometimes we use that excuse, but introversion is not a reason or an excuse not to build relationships, not to connect with others. Okay, let's be truthful, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's deal with whatever might be underneath the introversion. It may be shyness. It may be some form of insecurity. Well, let's deal with that, right? And not just call it, oh, I'm introverted, so I don't connect with people. It's very important that we build connections in the business world, not just in the business world, just as humans, right? We are wired for connection. So everyone needs that. And if you want to be successful in the business world, you have to have good relationships with people and get along with people. So this is super important. The fifth one is communication. what you say and how we say is matter, and how you say what you say and how you say it matters. And if what I said earlier is true, which it is, and I said that it doesn't matter what your goals are, you are going to require the participation of at least one other person. The way we relate as humans is through communication. So what you say and how you speak to the person will have an impact and influence in how they respond to you. And I always say this, if you've ever attended an interview for a job you know that you could do very well, but you didn't get the job, and you know it was because of how you interviewed that you didn't quite say the right things, then you know the importance of communication, that you could have the best intentions. If your words don't come out right, if the tonation and the language isn't quite right, then you can inadvertently hold yourself back. So this is why communication matters. And the final C is conflict management. Conflicts are inevitable. We can't. People are difficult. People are also nice. Maybe you're even the difficult person, right? So maybe, unfortunately, even in a situation where you've made some bad calls or not so good judgment, that has created conflict, and you have to navigate that. Whether it was due your fault or not your fault, it's almost irrelevant. We're all going to have to deal with conflict. It's important that we can navigate it successfully and navigate it in a way that it doesn't hinder our goals, right? So working on your conflict management skills is really important. So to summarize, I'm talking here about the strategy of reorganizing yourself to make what you want to happen by the end of the year. Okay, so we talked about the 6 C's: clarity, capacity, confidence, connection, communication, and conflict management. They're very important. All of that together, there are two aspects to it. There is who you're being and what you're doing. Who you're being and what you're doing. And both of them really interlock. The matter, you can have one without the other. You want the two together to put you in the best position. So to summarize, we've been looking at the strategies for finishing the year strong, strategies for having a strong finish to the year. And we've looked at 3 strategies. One is release the things that are no longer serving you. What is around what do you need to let go of to maximize the rest of the year? What has the hopes that have been dashed that you just need to release? What are some of the hurts that you need to release people, and what are some attitudes that you have that is not necessarily serving you? Maybe it's costing, when you know you could be doing more, but you're just in a comfortable place and you're costing, but you know you should be doing more. Release yourself from that. That's really important, right? And once we do that, the next step is reset based on where I am. What is something achievable that I can aim for the end of the year? Reset, start from where you are. Forget about the past. What is doable, right? Taking small steps is better than doing nothing, right? So really, have a chat with yourself and say, well, maybe I can't have the big goals, but what's possible? And really go for that. Reset. And the final strategy is reorganize yourself. You need a reorganization. You're at point A, you want to get to point B. If you just continue with how you are in point A, well, then you might stay in point A forever, because point B requires a different version of you. It requires some certain actions, some certain mindsets, some certain behavior. So you have to fill in the gap and close that gap between where you need to be up on A and where you need to be up on B. Now, I have a short assessment that you can complete around the 6 C's that I talked about to really, it will go into more detail around what they are and help you understand where you are and where you are on those in those areas. So send me a message, email, or drop me, just find me, drop me a message on LinkedIn or a DM, wherever you are watching this, an email, reach out to me, and I will happily share that short quiz with you, and you can do that. And I'm sure it will add more value to you and take this lesson even deeper for you. Well, thank you for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. And I'm always open to talk about these things. I'm a coach. My desire, the work I do, is around helping people move forward. And the purpose of this, short teaching is really to help you identify ways that you can move yourself forward. So if there's any other way that I can support you digging into some of these things I've talked about, I've talked about what you need to do, but you may need some help around how do I actually do it? How do I do it? How do I get out of my own way? I hear you, Bookie, but I need support in getting this done. Then feel free to reach out and we can arrange a consultation and see how I could help you. Thank you for listening.